Hey everybody, I am Madalyn Sklar, the host of the Social ROI Chat, and we have a special treat today. This is actually the team behind Social ROI. I've got Kate and Joe here with me, and normally you see them over in the comments, but today we've got them actually on video. Hey guys, how are y'all doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
I'm so good. Wow, what a chat. Mac was just amazing. He was delivering just the content for sure today. I mean, my mind was exploding with his great answers to questions today. So the topic today was selling on social, understanding the buyer's journey. And unfortunately, Matt could not join us on the live stream today, so we brought Kate and Joe. And a question for each of you to kick this off. What stood out the most to you on this chat? I mean, we talked about social selling just from A to Z, I think. Like, we really covered a lot. What stood out to you guys on this?
Well, I actually really enjoy examples. So some of the examples that were on there were great. Like Kate's Coca-Cola or the Volvo example. It's spot on. Exactly what it's all about.
I agree as well. I love those things. But also I love question 7 about like more the UI, UX and what sort of prevents the process of going through the checkout and actually making the purchase. So I think there's some interesting answers around there as well.
Definitely. I like when he brought up Volvo and talking about, like, you know, what do we think of when we think of Volvo? We think of safety, because that's their selling process, right? Is they don't always push cars, they push safety. And I think that's incredibly important with brands. And when he was talking about passion in the mix, I thought that was really cool. But yeah, those examples he was using, I thought was great. And we had a very lively audience that was, I felt like they were just jumping on to, like, he would respond and they were like, almost like completing his sentences, didn't you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the audience were going for it. It was good.
Yeah, really, really good. So let's kind of dissect a couple of these questions that we were talking about on the chat. You know, question number 1, we're talking about, you know, brands that are often assuming that once people know who they are, that they're going to buy from them. And that's not always the case. It's so much more than just knowing. Like, what else does it take before, you know, you go from getting known to getting the sale?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more. There's a whole relationship that needs to be built there, and just an interest, I suppose, and trust. I would want to know that a particular brand is trustworthy, reliable, that they're doing the right thing in terms of, like, they're not ripping anyone off or doing anything underhandedly against the law. Yeah, I think it's just like building that relationship and sort of seeing yourself in that brand.
Yeah,
well said.
Definitely. And yeah, just on what Kate said, there was a couple of things in the chat today where relevancy is really important. So, you know, you don't want to be talking about something that nobody's connecting with. So I guess it's a timing thing as well, if you think about it. But yeah, trust and relevancy really came out at me at the chat today.
Definitely. And when we moved over to question number 2, you're talking about the importance of understanding the journey. And I loved how he broke this down and talked about, like, you know, when you've got people that are totally unaware of you, you got people that maybe know a little bit about you, then you got those that are interested, they're considering buying, and those that are ready to buy, show me the money. I thought those were really great examples, the way he laid that out in the chat. So what are y'all's thoughts on that when it comes to that journey? I feel like so many brands just want to shortcut right through that. And Mac made a really great point about how brands will typically try to get the sale back in stage one, where it's too soon. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, another example, I guess, I saw from Mac in one of his articles, I think, was a dog food product like Pal or one of those ones. And basically, at the beginning, you want to connect with dog lovers. You don't necessarily want to talk about the food, you just want to talk about the dogs. And then in the next stage, you're sort of saying, well, you know, we want healthy dogs, you know, so you want to connect with the fact that the dog needs to be healthy. And then later on, again, you want to sell the fact that your dog food is healthy dog food. So it's sort of this like stage, step by step, in selling people on what your product's about and aligning values. But yeah, I mean, if you jump straight to the point about the healthy dog food, like, you know, personally, like I have a dog back home, and I wouldn't really care about healthy dog food, but I care about my dog. So I think it needs to start somewhere and build up to the boring bit.
That's a great point. What are your thoughts, Joe?
I couldn't explain it any better. I mean, you just got to go through those stages and think about it, and not, yeah, like you said, you don't just jump straight to the selling point. You've got to look at each stage and actually put some proper thought into it and be honest about it. Yeah, I think that's just how you'll connect with people.
Yeah, definitely having a plan. I think it all starts with a plan. I is making some great comments, and a big shout out to everybody that's here live with us. I see I and Natasha are joining us. And I is making a great point that so many brands have no patience. And then Natasha says not going through the stages and building up to the sale shows that you're not wanting to do the work, which I think we see far too often with brands. Now, on question number 6, we talked about when is the best time to include a call to action in the buying process. And so I wanted to ask you both, you know, you guys are there at ManageFlitter. How does that relate with what you guys do at the company?
I guess we're trying to educate people before pushing a hard sell. So like if you're not really in the social media industry, I'm not sure that you fully grasp what ManageFlitter does. So it's important to sort of show people and tell people how they can benefit from ManageFlitter before we push a sale, I guess.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. And I think the way we do it is, I mean, if you look at our blog, we've got articles about, you know, how to grow your following, or, you know, what's the right way to do a certain thing on Twitter. And I think you just take it from there. It really does start with the content in that respect.
Right. And also some more great comments on here. I is saying knowing a brand doesn't mean you trust a brand, which is so true. And Jim's here. Shout out to Jim. He says you can't really make a call to action until you've made your case, which I think is a really excellent point. You know, what I love about SocialROI chat, we got really smart people that hang out on the chat every week. Do you guys agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
There are some smarties there. I love that. And another point that I's making is do things incrementally. Don't make the wild jumps. You know, when you're storytelling your brand and you know, going through this process properly and you know, making people aware and understand what you do, it's like really important to storytell and walk them through that process instead of trying to do that hard sell. So when it comes to ManageFlitter, so if I don't know anything about ManageFlitter and I'm like, okay, you know, tell me all about it. What should I know to kind of get me interested? You know, for me, I always think like it's the elevator pitch, right? It's that really quick 15-second, reel them in, you know, like you're at a conference or you're at an event, you got a short amount of time to make somebody aware of who you are, what you do, and get them interested. How do you guys approach that?
I think, as Joe said, like, we can direct them to the blog. I've also got videos on YouTube. But in addition to that, like, you could always sign up for the free account and just actually give it a go and see for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No. So on question number 7, we'll start kind of wrapping this up because we keep this as a short, brief, to the point kind of live stream, which I love. On question number 7, we were talking about you're in the final purchase stage, and this should be easy for the customer, right? But there are a lot of common mistakes people make at checkout. And when I was answering that, I was talking about that it's important to actually go check your checkout process. You know, so many times put up this process, but they don't check it, and then it doesn't work. So I think it's like, to me, that's like, I think the simplest thing is to go make sure every moving part works. What's y'all's take on that?
Did you want to go, Joe?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, look, on point, Madalyn. You can't just make something and then let it run. You need to go back and test and check, and it's also good to see what other people are doing as well. There's always new things coming up, better ways to handle things like checkout, and you know the person's already at that stage. You don't want to put blockers up. You want to make it nice and easy and smooth, and even after they go through the checkout, like if you're signing up for a ManageFlitter, a paid account, you want to give them access straight away. Like there's an after process as well. So you really should always be re-looking at all of that process and workflow, and I think always just trying to improve it, make sure that it's nice and easy for the buyer. Yeah,
absolutely. What's your thoughts, Kate?
Yeah, I agree as well. I think, like, especially in this digital age, like, there's going to be more and more online stores, and it's not going to hurt brands to sort of have multiple versions, multiple sites tailored to certain countries, and I mean, languages, all sorts of things, and actually testing it, like really testing what works. It's not going to be the same for every single customer. And making things easy. I think one of my tweets as well was about like the sign up process. I can't stand a chunky sign up process. Half the time I don't remember my password. And then you've got to go to your email, verify, reset. And it's, in the end of the day, it's too much work. You know, you don't want to have to do that. I think those buttons that they've brought in, the like sign in with Facebook or sign in with Google, they actually make things a lot faster. I prefer especially the sign in with Google. That's a good way of doing it if it works. When it doesn't work, it's not good. It's not good. I mean, you're just turning people away. And if it's a product that you can get somewhere else, then I'll even go back to Google and find another retailer.
Yeah, I think Google makes the process so easy to check out. And you were mentioning Facebook. So many times you'll see like, oh, you can click Facebook to sign up for something or to use it for something. I think there's this big misconception out there that people think that by they're giving their information to Facebook or some way, and it's really the other way around. They're taking the information you already have at Facebook to make whatever this process is you're doing a lot easier. A little bit more of the techie. What are your thoughts on that? Like, oh no, I don't want to click that Facebook button. I'm giving Facebook my information.
It's so true. Yeah, we get people who don't quite understand what it's called OAuth. So yeah, exactly what you said. It makes it things so much easier, but you do need to be able to educate people on what exactly that means. You know, what information, who's giving who information, basically.
Everybody in the chat room is pretty much talking. As we're winding down here, Paula is here, one of our regulars on the chat. Interesting comment. between other similar tools, and my endorsement, moving up the list. So how about we end this on like, okay, we got an in here. So
sorry, you were breaking up a little bit there.
Can you just repeat that?
Sorry. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. This is like the storm effect, I guess. Is it okay now? Can y'all hear me okay now?
A bit clearer than before, yes.
Okay. I'm reading this so you see what's so she and manage. So what would can you hear me?
She's gone.
I'm sorry.
Just that last little bit.
Hold on. So all right, I'm posting a comment in the chat on the video, hoping they. So, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patchy, but it's getting there. Yep.
Okay, that's okay. We can wind down. We can finish this up. We can wrap up. Thank you so much for being here. How should people get in touch with
you? Was that how should people get in touch with us? Okay.
Yes.
Well, for me, Twitter, Instagram, email, just Kate Frappell, all one word.
Yeah, actually, if you go to our careers page, our links to our social sites are there on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah, /careers on manageflitter.com.au. Oh, just .com.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Madalyn.
Thank you, Madalyn.
All right.